is going on, guys? Just getting this all tweeted out. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Get the cam going in a minute. We're just sort of brainstorming some ideas today. And I realized I left my notebook in the other room, but we can do some sketch cards first since I've been putting those off. Get that tweeted out. And we're good to go. I'm going to send the link to some of the dudes. How's everybody doing today? All right. Yeah, I think we're all set up. We broke 800 hours yesterday, thanks to you dudes. We're well on our way to a quarter of the watch hours we need to be monetized. What is going on, Ash and Jackal? Welcome to the stream. I'm just getting situated here. We've been putting off the Dead Space sketch card, so I got some time to kill. Probably stream for an hour or two, and then hop off, cook some dinner, and get back on later tonight. I wanted to do a stream tonight with some of the dudes for the 24-hour comic challenge, and then invite some dudes we haven't had on the channel, so I was going to shoot the link out to some other guys if they were available. Ironically, Zaid being one of them. What's going on, Phil? Good to see you, man. Yeah, if you're around tonight, I was gonna shoot you the link if you want to come hang out. Not sure if Kayla's gonna be here yet. Was having some trouble with like a corrupted Windows update on her laptop, so she's been getting that all figured out. If she has it figured out, she will most likely be here tonight. We're hoping it's Jeff's triumphant return tonight. Now that the holiday is done with, hopefully he'll be able to join us again tonight as well, and we can get to figuring out the details and the dates on the first part of our 24-hour comic, which I still need to figure out what the fuck I'm gonna end up doing. I want to do something kind of horror and weird, but I don't want to waste a bunch of time getting bogged down in details. So I either need to do a really good job establishing where everything takes place and then completely get rid of backgrounds to save time, or come up with some sort of setting that I can replicate fairly quickly. We've been talking a shitload about horror video games. We did the Splatterhouse sketch card the other night. About to do a Dead Space one. Death Curse is predominantly a horror publisher and genre fiction in general, I guess. So want to do something with that. I know Kevin is doing his based on a 3 Inches of Blood song. I don't know much else about anyone else's. Nick Welch said his takes place in the snow, but that could have been a joke. Hard to tell with these dudes through DMs sometimes. We joked around a little bit last night, and I made a joke about doing a unauthorized Batman issue about Batman fighting a grizzly bear in the woods, and a lot of people seem to really like that one. I don't think that's going to be the first 24-hour comic I do, but I think that idea is hilarious, and I might actually write something for it. Maybe that'll be another one I do on the channel on my own down the road. Like I said, I don't know if these guys are going to want to do this ever again after this first one, or if they're going to hate me after this. This is a test run, but if it goes really well, we'll start maybe doing them a little more often. And I'll definitely get to that Batman one because that just sounds fucking ridiculous. That's the kind of stuff I want to do. My cat going ape shit outside. Just getting situated here. How are you dudes doing today? Everything pulled up. I shot Ryan win the link. Maybe I can get him to pop in. I'd like to know more about what the hell he's planning on doing for his story. But we will see. We will see. So make sure I got this facing the right way. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. We got Isaac Clarke from Dead Space to draw, which shouldn't be too hard. He's basically wearing a big tin can on his head. Keep it fairly simple and loose. It's hard to find like a piece of concept art or something of him that's nice and clear from the first game, which is my favorite version of him. It's not all futuristic and ridiculous looking. Yeah, the second and third game kind of took it in a different direction. Not that it was bad. It was just a little bit more action packed, and not exactly the same. Not as much fun. Vasto, what is up, dude? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream, man. Just doing a little Dead Space sketch card. All right, so at least get this little bit of a T-frame in here, so I don't have to keep flipping the card over. I know where the top is. We're definitely going to do some fudging here on the shapes. This isn't going to be 100% right. Yeah, trying to remember every little detail would have been impossible on this for me. It's been years since I legitimately played the game. And it's such a detailed design, and such a cool one that you don't want to fuck it up. This one's like a little bit thicker than the first one. And I guess the jaw strap it would be. And I still don't get it quite right. See what I'm talking about? Yeah, once I have this down, it'll be a little easier, and I'll be able to talk a little bit better. Sorry, guys. Pretty good. Trying to harness my action muscles so I can do a song for our buddy here. Hell yeah, man. It'll come to you. Don't stress about it. Might have to do another track for the new Magic Cop. If we hit some stretch goal, we might do an Asian-inspired, some like Big Trouble in Little China. He made a fantastic cover art for one of my singles. Hell yeah. Me and Kevin had a really good time on that one. I like the raw but well thought of lines. Thank you. Gonna be debuting the new spooky track soon. Hell yeah, man. New tracks are the best. New stuff to listen to while I write. Vosto and Institute have become the majority of what I'm listening to when I'm writing. And Perturbator is another dude whose stuff I really dig. I think we're gonna bring these all up a little bit, actually. Bring that up. That up a little bit. Tighten these guys up. There we go. That's already looking better. And then we got... So this one's got like the machine eyelets, almost like a old knight's helmet. Give him a nice bit of a organic edge, because I like to just ink everything and pencil everything real loose lately. Especially getting ready for the 24-hour comic. I don't want things to be too fucking crazy. Okay, so we got one light, two lights. The jaw piece, I'll render a little bit more after. And this is where it gets different. So these slant up here. There's the slots here. And then this actually comes off of this for the last eyelet. And is a completely different shape altogether. And then these kind of square off. Yeah, so those square off, kind of give them a little bit of a 3D bit there, so it looks like they wrap around. Yes, the spooky track. New stuff to hear and see. That's what I'm all about. Hell yeah. Perturbator's legit. Yeah, man, I love his old stuff a lot, especially. I haven't listened to a lot of, I think the last like 2 albums he's released, I've like listened to him a couple times through, but the other stuff is just cycled on repeat. We are small compared to him, but we're making our way up. Hell yeah. Hopefully we can help get some more eyes on all of you dudes. What's up, Razmaz? Good to see you, dude. We're finally getting into these Dead Space pictures. I'm looking up at chat every once in a while, so don't think I'm not paying attention. I'm just trying to lay down the structure on this bad boy. And then we got where it squares off here one more time for sort of the top of the helmet. And it's actually got in line with these guys slightly bulkier versions. That seemingly go through the whole thing here. I think they kind of curve in here. Cool little like beveled edge. Make him slightly 3D looking, like he's looking down. We can see the tops of them a bit. Okay, do the same thing on these guys because it would be that same thing. If we can see the tops of these guys logically, we'd see the tops of these as well if they're in the same plane of existence. And then there's kind of these almost like seam lines. It looks like another metal plate right there. And then these fins that pop up right here. It all comes back down. Fits in. All right. Cool. Yeah. We got another. These kind of jut out here. The underlayer. These wrap around. These wrap around the underlayer. Same thing with these guys. But the difference on the bottom jaw and why we waited on this is these have these outer locking plates right here. And then these little chin pieces that look to be in line with the rest of the face pieces. And I'm actually going to again add a little bit of the top to that, which would also mean all of these sorry, make sure I'm on camera here, guys. Hyper Kaiju, what is up, dude? Good to see you. We're doing Isaac from Dead Space right now. I like the dedication and the passion in the comic community. Hell yeah, man. It's all love over here. We're all just trying to do the shit we like. Oh, my internet just fragged out for a minute there. Hopefully I'm still live here. Especially the guys you're running with. Hell yeah, we have a great little community over here. Always good to see you guys share each other's art. It's legit good to know. Real talent worth to see. Hell yeah. Yeah, these like metal bands that wrap around the helmet. This is like what Frega's always talking about, the making it look 3D. And there's some really simple little tricks like this where so it's sort of like we're looking at him, but he's got his head tilted down a little bit. Like this, but we're looking at it at an angle slightly over the top. So we're seeing that top, that rim edge on everything, and that would be on these guys as well. Wrapping all the way around here, which is what I was doing before, over the top of this, up here. And it'd just be a little thin, like added line on the final inks, but it's a little bit that'll go a very long way in selling that effect, I guess is the best way to describe it. And then you can sort of if you're coloring it or whatever, you'd cast light on those edges harder and sharper than you would on other edges, like these the 3 eye slots here kind of have like a neon to them. Technically, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the 2 pins here breaking it up. But it's these 1, 2, 3 beams. They're like neon blue in the game, glowing through and everything. So that hard edge right up against it would have a nice hard bright light. It would almost look blue, just like the light, but conform to that shape and edge, and then it would diffuse and sort of gradient out on the rest of it, as light would. What is up, Ryan? Good to see you, dude. I shot you the link if you wanted to pop in. We're not going crazy long today, but doing some sketch cards, hanging out. Feel like I could learn how to draw from this. You can learn how to draw way better from a bunch of other dudes in the community, if you know where to pop in. Ryan's another great one. If you check out his channel, he's got tons of awesome stuff, and he's a very established inker in the industry, so you can learn a shitload from him. I didn't realize Ryan Wynn was here. I'll catch you guys later. There's only one thing we have time to really get good at, so I'm going to leave that for you guys. A sad ninja. No one can see me cry. Oh, God. Yeah, so that's just why I was explaining that little edge and everything. Sort of gives a little bit more dimension to it. And I'm not going to focus too much on the body armor. That's why I was keeping this really simple. The helmet is the main point of this. I know the shoulders and everything are all like really crazy segmented armor too. Sort of changes throughout the game as you upgraded it. But again, man, it's like this game didn't have any concept art back in the day. It's hard to find stuff. I'm just going with the simple. I feel bad for anybody that ever would like get commissioned to do this character and hasn't played these games. You'd be like, what the fuck, dude? He's definitely a tough one to find a clear reference for. But a super kick-ass character, no less. Just a great game. Really hoping for that remake somewhere down the road. All right. I remember there's a part early on in the game too where it pans by your chest before you have all the armor, and you can see Isaac's like name tag and stuff. It's like the only real human moment in it before everything goes completely tits up. And then it's just like you want to be getting armor like as much as possible and getting the fuck out of there. Yeah. Now to lay some ink into this guy. Again, I'm keeping it real loose, trying to have fun with it. This should have a little bit of a beveled edge in it. That kind of doesn't make sense, but we'll live with it. Yeah. Just playing around, trying to figure out structure and everything. I kind of go in with no game plan. That's not the way to do it, ideally. But what do I know? We have the edge again, and it loops back around the other side, overlaps there. Bottom line, just one sharp line. Any like mistakes and stuff I'm making in the inks, I can always break up with a Posca marker or sort of fix it in colors, thicken it up with lines later. I'll go back, give that a little bit more depth. Yeah, game plans are for sissies, exactly. Not planning is the man's way. That's what I always say. This locks together. You don't see that seam here, but then you do here. And it would technically, I should do this line first. There. Over to there. Back to there. We do that because these two lock together right there. I'll show you in a second. So this top line, this metal loop up here with the two notches on it, sort of perfectly interlocks seam to seam right there and right there. And so this little lip we see here, the top of this band, the line that I'm about to draw above this would actually come from behind this top part, if that makes sense to you guys. So it'd come out of the back there. And that's why I draw that line first. We bring it up. So this looks like it's right there, but it actually is sort of sitting on top of this. And you can even get a little bit more three-dimensional if you stop that line beforehand and have a little flat spot there, but it's so small you can barely see that at that point. Let me see if I can pull it up closer to the screen. You can see what I'm talking about a little bit. So it just looks like a thick black line here, but it's actually sort of sitting on top right there. And you get a horizontal line all of a sudden instead of like a diagonal line. It makes it sort of look like it's laying flat. Like they're flush, basically. Another little trick to make shit look cooler. And then this is sort of that reverse. We have it pop out slightly on the bottom there. Have these guys pop up. And again, we see the tops of these, because these are still on that, these two, and these chin pieces right here are, they're all on one flat plane. So it's almost like it's a wood board stapled to his face or nailed to his face, and they are all sitting inside of that wood board in one place. So no matter how he turns his head, they are always in a line with each other. And that's the easiest way for me to remember it, at least. And then they're actually fastened to this last band, which is the final part wrapping around the helmet. And this guy right here that I'm doing now, this top piece, I'll explain in a second here. Just getting these lines down. Okay, so this piece here, think of like the under helmet. It's like the first protective layer around your head, almost like a form-fitting piece. It's this one, this one, this one, but that whole piece goes all the way down to the jawline, covers like the whole head, and that's where the light modules are. That one, and that one. And those are all on that piece. And these are like big metal bands, like giant metal rings that slide over that, physically wrap all the way around and are like bolted into it. Just sort of to give you an idea of how the dimensions work on him, what we're trying to achieve. Yeah. And again, keeping the back, the body parts really, really loose. It's not too important. The focus is more on him. The helmet and what I'm going to do with the background. So again, keeping it loose, keeping it simple. Probably throw some colors into it. Okay. And then kind of give this some edges. Ding it up a little bit. Yeah. Oh, and you'll realize you forgot lines and stuff. That's always fun. So you go put those back in there. The lines you forgot. All right. Okay. Okay, this would technically be a little bit darker, I think. Throwing in some rough shadows. Sorry, guys. Thought I'd be able to multitask a little bit better than this. Oh, nobody's saying anything. Anyways, I guess you guys are just watching. Cool. Pockmark this up a little bit. All right. And just zoning in, my friend. Hell yeah. It is all good. What do we do now? Had an idea for the background, but I'm not sure how we want to execute it yet. What do we go with? So go back to pencil for a minute here. Okay. We can figure this out. Yeah, sure. It works for me. I mostly just listen, something to keep my mind occupied. You get any good deals today? No, I didn't really care to. I think me and the girlfriend got some movie stuff. And I just got a bunch of art stuff for the channel. So yes and no. I didn't really go out of my way for anything this year. But I'm good where I'm at. We got that Artesia stuff coming in this week, which will be really cool. I'm excited to see what you dudes do if you're planning on following along and doing your own comic. We will have prizes. It's going to be kick-ass. Let's put some random fucking teeth on this thing. Yeah, we'll have prizes. All of the guys competing on the main show will vote on the fan ones at the end and decide the fate. But it'll be fun. And hopefully one of many on the stream. The first of many, I should say. Gross bits of sinew. Shit hanging off it. More teeth. This piece sort of hooks around. Darken that up a bit. Trying to make it look like pieces of a human mouth at one point, and this would sort of be what was the, I guess it'd be like the center palate, the chin piece with those couple of teeth. Which you also exploded and contorted from the necromorph. And that sort of gets smaller as it goes. This would be sort of shadowed out. All right. Cool. And then I can go. What do I use for this? Here we go. Goddamn. Just start rough filling this all in. Almost pushing the ink into place because I have a smaller brush here. Not ideal, but it works. That was way too much ink. And after I finish, if I'm going to lay down some color or whatever, I can lay down the color for the most part and clean it up with some Posca highlights. You don't want to rely on that, but I do. Especially when I'm just doing these loose, fun guys. They're meant to be more an exercise and being quick right now than they are being 100% accurate. Oh. Just sort of grabbing the side of the pot to get a little bit to dry brush. I think I might just leave this one black and white and use the Posca to pull all those details back out. We'll see. Once I fill this all in. We'll see how it looks. Okay. Cool. You watching The Mandalorian? Maybe I should make a music producing live stream. Yes, you definitely should. People would definitely be into that. And that shit thrives, especially on Twitch. There's a huge community for that. people blowing up like crazy over there. But does being watched have an impact on your creativity? It's a little weird to get used to. I think it's different for different people. But the kind of hit the ground running with it. You don't really have much of a choice when you need to promote your book and you wanna do the things you want to do in life. You gotta make sacrifices, and I think being open to your audience and available is a fairly easy one to make in comic books. You watching The Mandalorian? I am, but I have not watched any of the new season yet. Me and the girlfriend have just been too busy, and we watch it together. So I have not watched the new season yet. This is going to need to dry for a little bit, and then I can start adding some more details back in. But we got a cool necromorph tentacle coming down behind Isaac there. It's kind of hard to see. It's a little bit foggy and everything, but I'll add some teeth back in and stuff with the Posca marker and clean it up a bit. Yeah. Another one. And then maybe we'll do a necromorph after this. Still trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing for my 24-hour comic. Turn the camera off and dive for a minute here. Yeah, we're doing the 24-hour comic. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do yet. I thought cool fantasy story fighting some big monster was gonna be rad, but my girlfriend is like, don't troll them with a fantasy story after making fun of fantasy stories for weeks on end. Just like, do something serious that you'll actually like doing and all this logical shit. Yeah. So I don't know. Kind of want to do something like haunted housey, but then that entails fucking drawing houses and architecture and stuff. Could still have something fighting a monster, just not a giant in scale, but that's kind of what I was going for this time around, was scope and scale. So I might just end up doing something with fantasy. Horror fantasy. Come up with something really weird. I have a feeling Kevin's is going to be a bit of a fantasy story as well again. With the 3 inches of blood angle, it's going to be hard to avoid. They're pretty much like a fantasy band. If you guys have any ideas of things you'd want to see in chat, I've been fielding some ideas. I came up with that Batman fighting a grizzly bear, and that was really popular. But if you got any random ideas you want to see, I'd kind of like to do something. I mean, Nick is doing a snow story, so maybe not. Gun-wielding preacher blasting away possessed people in a church after an exorcism goes wrong. Oh, shit. That's actually wicked cool. This is why I want to do a stream tonight and try and get some of the 24-hour comic guys on and just do like a brainstorming session with people to help the guys who maybe don't have something. I don't know if you're planning on following along and participating in the challenge, Ash and Jackal, but the fan challenge is 10 pages instead of 20 pages, and we'll be doing the streams over multiple weeks, so it won't all be 24 hours straight in one day. It'll be 3-hour blocks over multiple weeks. The fan one is on the honor system, so we just expect that you'll stick to those 3-hour blocks and work along with us. show the progress on Twitter and have a good time with it. But you basically got to make a 10-page story all at once. Yeah, like he's the cleanup crew. I actually had like a cleanup crew idea that was sort of gonna be the haunted house story, was like a team getting sent in for something similar to that, but it wasn't an exorcism or anything. That is a wicked cool idea though, and that's what I mean is we need to be, especially us guys that have to do 20 pages in 24 hours, we need to be coming up with cool isolated incidents where it's just a fun character we know we can draw like really well really quick, which is why I'm like I need to come up with some sort of cartooning style to pull this one off in time and make it still look really good. I think like Headlopper, Andrew McLean's book, looks really fucking good. But something more like that's more a fun cartoonist style. And not that I'm saying that stuff is easy. That dude's art is clean as fuck and absolutely beautiful, but something not so wildly rendered. I can't. My art is comically bad. Yeah, that's the thing. It's more about just doing something and getting something down. You can do stick figures. You can do something experimental. Like it's about telling a story in those 10 pages and having fun with it, and potentially winning some art supplies to do another one. I am an ideas guy. You could too for the fan thing. I don't see any problem if people want to do like a team up with someone, an artist and a writer, but then you guys would have to decide on who's getting the prize. You could always see if there's an artist that wants to team up with you for the challenge over multiple weeks, just as a fun collaboration. But look around. There's plenty of dudes doing it. I think that would be cool too if it's also a means to bring some of the community together to work on stuff. This is all things I want to figure out over the next week or two while we tread into the first part, which I think is going to be probably towards the end of December, near Christmas, I'm assuming, and the holidays, but just because I'm assuming everyone will be around home and able to stream a little bit. We'll try to keep it away from Christmas. I think like the 20th would be really good. But it's a matter of nailing everything down with the guys. If we have to push it back to January, we have to push back to January. That just means a little bit more time to develop things. But I would like to get at least the first part up and going as soon as possible. And because that sets things in stone, that cements things, even if we do the first part and then it's another 3-4 weeks before we do the second part. We have our concept set in stone and we're ready to go. Because if you do that first part and you decide 3 hours in you don't like what you're doing, it's not like you get to go back and redo it. Like you're down 3 hours, and if you're restarting with 21 hours. Yeah, it's gonna be intense. And we're doing, I can show real quick some of the stuff we're giving away. So I got these guys. Oh, these shit keeps popping up with honey. I got some of these sketchbooks that I'm going to be doing my 24-hour comic in with gouache. So I'm basically doing a kit for the winner that's sort of like a how I did my 24-hour comic. So you can get the exact setup that I used to do mine and save it till we do another one and do one along with us, or just use it however. Make your own comic, not in 24 hours. Make something awesome. And what I liked about this is it's all linen bound, and then if I do all the originals in this sequentially, the book can be read all in one in this original form. Oh, excuse me. Which I thought was really cool, and that's like that's a big motivator for me to also try hand lettering the book and stuff, which I think this time around I'm going to do something that I've tried in the past where I basically do a digital pass of the lettering and get it really good to where I like it, and then just sort of light box it in pencil and then ink over it traditionally. And I think that works really good, but it might be pretty time consuming, so I gotta see. It might just be a silent issue. Yeah, team up, exactly, Ryan. I don't see anything wrong with that for the fan challenge, and it's only 10 pages, so you can talk to the artist. You can be like, hey, we'll come up with the story together. I'll script it for you, and you got to do 10 pages during these streams. And, if you're not an artist yourself, you say, hey, we win. You get all the rewards. You get the sketchbook. We're doing most likely a pack of ink markers, or ink pens, I should say, inking pens, like microns, something like that, something waterproof that you can go over watercolors with, stuff like that, not worry about fucking everything up. You'll get one of these sketchbooks, and you'll get one of these sets of Arteza gouache paint, a set of 60 colors. It's a huge range. If they're as good as the acrylics are, it's going to be a lot of fun. And you'll get these, the sketchbook, some inking pens, and I think I'm going to do some brushes as well for the gouache and everything. So you basically have a full setup. You got to get yourself a cup for water, and you are good to go. Ryan can do January for sure. Yeah, that was the whole idea, was we'd get together. If we can tonight, I'd like to get together and talk with everybody. If you're around tonight, dude, do a little stream and just hang out and talk about it. Kick around possible dates and shit with everyone, because we got 8 dudes, so figuring it out, each part is going to be intense. January, though, if we were like, oh, we're doing it January, that does give us like exactly a month right now, even though obviously December is going to be a busy month for everyone. It gives you about a month to sort of plan ahead and figure out what the hell we're going to do. And I could probably fill all the concept design pages in my sketchbook while we're doing that if we got a whole month. Colin, welcome. Good to see you, man. Can do January for sure. Only artists I know I pay up front. That's what I'm saying. Look around the community, talk to some people. There's lots of guys. Maybe reach out to like David Hayner or Rich or any of those dudes from the Alterna chat and see if anybody just wants to team up on something little. It's a 10-page collab. You just got to tell a story and have fun with it, and follow along with us. Don't get discouraged. It's not meant to be a paid thing. I know there'll be some artists that'll want pay and everything, but this is more an exercise in having fun and doing something in our downtime. A pure fun collaboration. Look for guys that are just breaking in and looking to just tell a story and have fun. You don't need to be hitting up like dudes like Malin and shit like that aren't going to want to do a book. Obviously, these guys that are already working on books, but look for guys in the community that are excited for it. I know Mitch Rockage, who's in our streams a lot, has been inking and coloring stuff lately. So again, really, it's more about getting this. getting the story across and making sure it reads. We had, I think it was Colin that was talking about using photo reference and stuff digitally and just tracing over the photo reference and adding his own stuff to it so he can get good blocking on characters and framing and stuff like that and tell his story that way. And then, you know, if you're doing that, focus on making your lettering be really good and your story being really clear. Or if you're gonna do a horror story or something, focus on making your monster really cool and just the action reading very well. It's not impossible. This is meant to just get your brain going and thinking and problem solving. With a deadline as well. Yeah, that's what I plan on doing. Okay, so I wasn't misremembering who it was. But yeah, exactly. There's lots of different ways to go about it. You can do a whole stick figure story and just make it really interesting. When we were in middle school, me and my friends would always my mom would actually buy me extra notebooks, and we would have a notebook that we would pass back and forth to each other. I think my friend Chris still has a bunch of them, but we would have notebooks that would pass back and forth to each other, and we would draw, like one of us would draw a big, like a 2D, almost like a map on like a side-scrolling game, but it was this 2D terrain, and we'd each draw like a soldier in it, and we'd pass it back and forth, and basically be like animating it at all times and adding new things to it every time. Until it became this great big thing. But it's like just get something down on paper. That's what this is about. Get it down on paper, tell a story, and then build on that the next time around. What is up, Aces? Good to see you, man. Hail indeed. Well, I just needed to know that it was okay to trace over photos to get over my lack of skills. Yeah, like I said, as long as it's not like a 1-to-1 and you're just wasting your time doing tracing. You're tracing a photo, but you're still, again, it's not don't come to me where you traced a bunch of photos from fucking Predator and then you just did a scene from Predator for your short story. Like, you have to do your own original 10-page story of something. Doesn't necessarily need to have dialogue. It can be cool space marine fighting an alien in outer space, and we never hear any dialogue other than huffing and puffing gun noises or something like that. You don't even need that either. You can just draw all that action and everything, and it's like, make it look fun, make it look cool. You plan out your scenes, which are, or your panels, I should say, which is like your shot listing in a movie. Plan your panels out, find that reference for it. You got a guy getting crushed by a big monster. You have a guy, get some good reference of a guy getting like pressed on the ground or laying on the ground, and big foot stomping down on it. It's all these little things you're figuring out, and then you'll have to collect your reference and put it together and do your drawovers and everything. But as long as you're still creating your own original thing, that's completely fine. I mean, there's professionals doing that shit at Marvel, man. If it turns out bad, at least I tried. That's the exact point, is that it's finished, not perfect. You tried to tell a story. You can always think of it like you're doing storyboards right now, and you could always come back to it later. Who knows? You could strike gold with it and not know you have something great. And you do that little short, and all of a sudden you have something in front of you you can look at, and like I said before, pick apart, figure out what works, what doesn't work, and then you'd be like, okay, so I know this structure works well, this flow works well, the pacing works well, but I know my art isn't that great. But now I can take this template that I have and go to an artist and say, hey, this is what this is. This is what I'm trying to do with it. Is this something you're interested? Can we develop atop this and build this up into something greater? with our combined talents instead of just me and my traced art. So it's almost like for some of you guys, if you don't think you're the greatest artist or whatever, think of this like you're doing an artistic first draft on a story, and go from there. This is about getting something down and having fun with it. It's the same thing for me. Like, mine is not going to be perfect by any means, guys. There's going to be a lot of mistakes, a lot of sacrifices for the sake of convenience and saving time. But again, it's about getting something down and committing to that, and not lowering expectations, but learning how to augment expectations to be more realistic, and figure out, again, what works and what doesn't work for you. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. If I can make a 20-page comic in 24 hours time, then I should be able to, if I can make a shitty comic in 24 hours time, 20 pages long, and it actually reads and still tells the story clearly enough, I should be able to make a decent comic in a month's time. And this is that first baby step to there. It's just a big fucking baby step. It's a baby step in zero gravity, but it's crawl to a run. We're not meant to do something. This isn't going to be the grandest scale thing we ever do. This isn't going to be our masterpiece. This is just a comic we're going to do, and we're going to have a bunch of fun with it. And that's why I'm recommending to guys, you do something that you just absolutely love, a genre you've been wanting to play around in forever. My problem is I want to do something like really experimental and weird, but it wouldn't have a through line narrative you could really track. It would be like tons of weird, trippy horror shit. More of like a Hellraiser Beyond the Black Rainbow kind of feel. Bit surreal. I'd like to do something like that and just get really weird with body horror and shit like that. But that doesn't read well as a comic. And that's part of this first challenge, is to actually tell a story. Not just confuse the shit out of your readers with cool imagery in sequences. Then that's just sort of pictures lined up together. It's not storytelling. Very interesting. Same principles apply to music. Yeah, it's like all creative endeavors. They're all similar in ways and vastly different in others. It's just it's a lot of trial and error, and that's what this is. This is supposed to be a fun way to do that, and a communal way to do that. And we're going to judge it, but in a non-judgmental way. You're meant to learn and grow from this. Don't be offended by the feedback you get from this. I'm fucking stoked for the other 7 dudes who are competing with me to rip my comic apart. I'm pushing to get that 20 pages done and to have it fully colored. If I don't get it all lettered or whatever, that's one thing, but I want it to be fully painted and 20 pages and fully commit to that. Other than that, who knows what'll happen? But it's a success in my eyes for me if I'm able to complete that 20 pages at least fully colored. If it ends up a silent issue, it's still a fully colored 20-page comic I can print out, give to friends, whatever. But I did it. A failure for me would be 16 pages fully colored because I didn't meet my goal. I didn't do what everybody else did. And I didn't do what I set out to do. So that's what it's about this time around, is finishing the 20, getting it done. For fans to follow along in the contest, it's only 10 pages. So 10 pages in 24 hours, where we'll be doing 20 pages, and you can win some really cool stuff. But yeah, that is about it. I need to run to the bathroom really quick and grab a beverage. So I am going to, let's see, what can we pull up? Just trying to think of a video we could pull up or something. Here we go. We will pull up one of the Institute songs we'll play for you guys. I'm aiming for 10 pages of complete drawings and fully lettered. Hell yeah, man. I'm not sure what programs you're planning on using or whatever, but if you need feedback or anything like that beforehand, if you need help with any of those things, just let us know in here, and we can try and help you, point you in the right direction. Obviously not everybody's going to have like the fucking Adobe Creative Suite or anything like that, but there's stuff like Clip Studio, if you have that on iPad, Procreate. Yeah, I mean, you can just hand write in Procreate and stuff like that. And I think they have a lettering thing now. You can just download a good comic lettering font off of blambot.com. They have free fonts for lettering right there. And you can letter comics very nicely there. Smoko, more of a piss my brains out. And I need to feed my cat because he's like going fucking nuts in the background, or my girlfriend's home. I don't know what it is. And grab a drink because I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it sounds like I have a fucking frog in my throat. I have cotton mouth like a motherfucker. He'll never be an old man river. Put Dreadworm on man. Oh, sorry. I almost just accidentally put you in timeout, Colin. That was completely an accident. I didn't even know I could do that. I only have one line to write up for my 10 pages as far as I know. Perfect. Yeah, so you just keep it really simple. But yeah, I will share this screen really quick and we'll play you guys Snuffed Out from Institute. There we go. I'll be back in a minute. All right, sorry about that. Holy shit. My cat almost killed me. Tripped over him in my kitchen. Like a clumsy idiot. But I am back. Crickets. I'm backstage, but I can't do anything. Stay tuned. Oh, shit. Here we go. What's up, dude?
Yo, what's up?
Sorry about that. Oh, my God. I should just be the human fire hose from now on.
What was Kitty doing?
He's just being a madman. So we have these, like pouches of food that we give him every once in a while. They're, like, not a treat. They're just regular food, but it's, like, a very small amount of it. Oh, okay. Bye, Ryan. He did not like this very much, all this cat talk. Or his phone died. But, yeah, I had to feed my cat, and then he does this thing where he, like, figure eights around your legs, and, fucking tripped my dumbass. Oh, there he is. He's back.
What's Sorry, up, fat thumb disease.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, I fed him, like, one of the little, like, weird, like, snack pack things that he has, and then he, like, tripped my dumbass.
Haha.
Welcome back, Kaiju. Cat pouches was the last straw. Yeah, right.
I told you I'm following you everywhere, Kaiju. You left, I left, you're back, I'm back.
Persistent. How's it going, dude?
Good, I got a mouthful of McDonald's, so just like your cat, I'm going to be running around your legs in a minute.
Awesome. Perfect. God damn, McDonald's is, like, haunting me today.
Same. It was visiting me in my sleep last night. I woke up, I'm like, God damn it, I don't even want it, but my body's like, you better just go get it.
Yeah, my Beth hates it too, and I'm like every couple of months, I'm just like, I need it. I haven't had it in ages, though. Go ahead. I haven't had it in ages, though. It feels like it's been like a year since I've eaten anything from McDonald's, and I'm like, that's fucking weird. And then all today, there was like ads on, I think it was like YouTube and a couple other places, and I was like, why the fuck does McDonald's keep coming up? And like people were mentioning it on Twitter, and now you're eating it.
It's your time. Right? You're loving it. Yeah,
maybe
my mom
I won't cook dinner after. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, maybe you won't. You'll just disappoint Beth.
Oh yeah.
But what's new, you know? So anyways, my mom's like 75 now and was a health nut her entire life. Like serious health nut. Like we weren't allowed store-bought cereals. We had to eat like, you know, lightly dusted with a flake of honey Cheerios kind of things.
Oh yeah.
Like the knockoffs. And now that she's old, she's decided that she's going to eat McDonald's every day, and she says it's one of the best things in her life. She's like, no joke. She's like, I go and get that sausage every morning on the way to the horses, and it's the greatest thing every single day. And I was like, okay, you know what? If waiting to love fast food till you're old makes it that great, like maybe I should kick back a little. Like,
right.
she's like, I know I'm old and I don't do much, so this is like a highlight. But she's like, you have no idea how good this is. I'm like, yeah, well, I didn't not eat McDonald's for 30 years, so I know it's good sometimes.
Well, that was like, the Halloween like party con that I went up and hung out with Frega at, Frega and Billy Tucci and all those dudes. It's at like a Holiday Inn in New Hampshire, and pretty much in the parking lot of the Holiday Inn is this really old McDonald's. Looks like it hasn't been updated since like the mid 80s. Just this McDonald's from a bygone time, and I absolutely love it. Like, I love how old it looks and everything. Like, it feels like it should still have the like McDonald's ashtrays in it. And every time I've gone there, like there's coin shows there, all sorts of shit there. They host tons of events. Every time I've gone to that place, though, we always go to that McDonald's. And every year it's got like the same old people just hanging out in it every morning eating McDonald's. And I did not know that was the thing until I went to that McDonald's. But there really is like this diehard crowd about it, and it seems to be. I'm like wondering now if that's like a thing with older people where they're like, "All right, well, I lasted this long doing good, like I might as well enjoy shit now."
I think there is. I think there's also something to it. I mean, this is what my great aunt told me. She was like 90 something, and she was going to like KFC a couple times a week, and I was like, "You used to be such a health nut. Like, what's up with that?" She's like, "Well, first of all, I got here. I got this far." And she's like, "I'm not going to do cocaine, but I might do fast food at this age." But then she said, also, it's super cheap. She's like, "I know for a fact this meal is going to cost me $4 something. And I know if I go here once a week for the next year, it's going to cost me X amount." And then I start learning like, oh, shit, when you're old and you're not working, you have to figure everything out with your money.
That was the huge thing too. My like I worked at Burger King right out of high school, and we had a lot of regulars like that where it was like they were just used to that like routine. Like they'd almost show up with the exact amount of money and everything. A lot of them would, but like it was just the same time every day. Like we had a couple of regulars who passed away while I worked there, and you like knew when they didn't come in on like their set days that something was wrong.
Oh, such a bummer.
Yeah.
Even as a kid working somewhere, same thing. I worked at a grocery store next to an old folks home, and they just start just not showing up, and you're like, "Aw, old John, damn."
Yep. I actually worked helping out doing dishes and stuff at an old folks home for like a week, and you would help go pick up the trays and stuff, and I had to quit after like a week and a half because it's just like, nope, like we had like 6 people die in that week and a half, and I was like, I cannot handle this job. Don't know how doctors and stuff do it like regularly.
Well, yeah, because they say stuff like, "Oh, you get used to it," and you do, but there's also a choice we have as humans. You're like, do I want to be used to this?
Exactly. Like, there's some things I don't think I should get desensitized to in this lifetime. Like, died from too much Burger King. Rip. Yeah, should have been diehard McDonald's fan. Picked the wrong chain. I will say
that flame broil. Ooh, that flame broil Burger King.
Yeah, that was the thing. Burger King's breakfast, I didn't get why so many people liked it, and then I finally tried it, and it's like, it's either super sweet or super salty, and it's like, it tastes more flavorful, but it's not like balanced at all. It's just like super extreme, like burnout stoner food. It tastes like something you would cook while drunk at 4 a.m. for breakfast. But again, like we had like really diehard people. Like we had some dudes that were like in stupid good shape and like would go to the gym all the time and would come and get Burger King every morning. And I was like, I don't really understand that, but you do you, I guess. I would eat like one of those sandwiches and you're crashing by like 11 in the morning. You going to open that place at like 4:30 in the morning and eat something, and you're like dying 5 hours later.
Yeah, Jack in the Box grease has that sleeping potion in it that like the human body has to sleep to be able to digest it. Like,
dude, I haven't had Jack in the Box since I was like 3 years old, and I just have like a weird memory of being a toddler and like seeing like the advertisements and stuff in the place. I have no recollection of the food or anything like that. But every time like a ad for it pops up around here, I'm like, fuck, why don't we? There's no Jack in the Box around here, but they had like a national advertising campaign for years. And we've never like, there's not one like anywhere near the East Coast last I checked. and we were getting ads for them. Like I saw an ad for Jack in the Box a couple of months ago, and I was like, God damn it! Like, that's like a reason I want to go out west again, is to just try Jack in the Box as like a grown human being, because I just have this weird memory of it as a child, and like it haunts me even though I have no memory of it.
Yeah, the whole time you've been saying Burger King, I've actually been thinking Jack in the Box. All the stories that were going on in my head were all Jack in the Box.
That's hilarious.
Stories.
Yeah, no, the closest thing we had to a Jack in the Box out here was a lot of fast food places started doing like combined ones. Like we had a KFC Taco Bell out here. And there was I think it was a Taco Bell Burger King combined at one point out here. So that was kind of like Jack in the Box, but that's all I remember from Jack in the Box when I was a kid, was they did like burgers and tacos and a bunch of other shit.
Oh yeah, no, they do everything. Like, I even think I told you the story wrong the other day when I was telling you that Joe Weems had retired for a year to play World of Warcraft and lived off Burger King. He lived off Jack in the Box. I was wrong.
That makes way more sense. That's all I hear too from people now, is like if people really like it, it's because it's like super cheap.
It's good in a way too. It's like Burger King. You often want to nap after eating it, because of whatever grease they use that you got to digest. But like a good like Jumbo Jack or their double cheeseburger, like damn, it's good. And they used to have stuff like
Wendy's
fried
Baconators
macaroni
make your
balls.
blood pressure, make you feel your blood pressure rising as you eat them.
If they knock the corners off, it wouldn't be so bad. But those square burgers, you get extra burger, and fills you up.
You're dying.
But yeah, Jack in the Box is weird good. It's almost like,
it sounds like it was made for me, because it's like, oh, I'm high and I can't decide which fast food place to go to.
Yeah, it's almost like the Cheesecake Factory of fast food places, where the menu is just way more than anywhere else. There's like so much.
That's the issue I had with Sonic when they first put one of those in around here too. I was just like, holy shit, I don't know what to get. And then you get like a couple different things at Sonic, and you're like, oh, this is just like carny food. Like,
not even a step up. It's straight from the carn.
Yeah, no, it is literally like the same distributor and everything. You are getting your very, like, I don't know if you guys have like the 4-H fairs and like small town fairs and stuff like that around here, where it's just those classic like pop-up like food cart stalls all over the place, and like some really shitty carny rides. Yeah, it's just that food all consolidated in one place, and some teenage girl on roller skates will deliver it to you. And then it's just like if it's not carny food, it's like bar appetizers. We go there though. That's what Sonic does to me, is like you're saying about the fucking sleep grease at these other places, is
yeah.
Sonic, dude, I can eat like anything on their menu and I will be out within the hour. And it's also the one place where I order shit that would like make me ashamed to eat in front of like my family, and my girlfriend has to like sleep next to me after I eat it. They do like chili cheese fries and tots and all sorts of other shit. They'll put chili cheese on everything. And if you get me drunk, I will put chili cheese on everything. Because I'm an animal.
I don't have to be drunk. All you have to do is offer the cheese to me, and I'm like, yes, please. They're like, but we normally don't put it on this. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, Metatron's cube. Yup. we had the Rico's cheese pump at the movie theater when I worked there, and we were just coming up with all sorts of insane things to do with Rico's cheese.
Once you put it on popcorn. Actually, you have to dip the popcorn in it. You can't put it over the popcorn.
I was just about to say that one of the number one things was we would fucking blow through it because we'd all dip it in popcorn, or dip popcorn in it. Jesus. That was like, God, that working at that theater kicked ass. We used to go to the IMAX theater and hook up fucking Call of Duty to it.
No way.
Yeah, if you sat in... So basically, the way the digital the digital projectors work, you could hook stuff into them. It had like not an HDMI, but it had other hookups, so you could with a certain converter you could hook like Xbox 360 up to it, PS3. I had a 360 at the time. It was before one had come out, but you could hook that up to it, and the wireless controllers just barely reached range if you sat up in the theater all the way in back near the hole for the projector window. You had to sit there, and you were like just within range of the Xbox, and you basically had someone upstairs setting up the Xbox, someone down in the theater with the two controllers, and you would turn the Xbox on, make sure the controller's linked, and then come back down into the theater with everyone else, because the projector room was hot as fuck, and you just needed to make sure that like the controller's linked. And once you did that, you couldn't move the controllers from that top row, but we could play Call of Duty all night. We'd play fucking Call of Duty online in the theater with my manager John till like opening the next day.
That's so rad.
Oh yeah, dude, it was great.
I can't believe I've never heard of that. Like I didn't know you could do that.
Get super fucking drunk. We'd all bring our own shit. Our general manager, I think I've mentioned him on here before because he was like a famous wrestler when WWE was still WWF. And I think he might have been in WCW at one point too. He's one of the Kong brothers.
What? Seriously?
Yeah, Crusher Kong.
No way.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I did not. I've missed that being mentioned on here.
Crusher
for
Kong.
Knowing you the last 3 years.
Crusher Kong was my boss, and that's the guy who, like, every time I go back to that movie theater to see a movie, he asks if I want my job back, because I got when it was still Rave Cinemas, I got more president's letters than any employee at any of their branches ever. I had, and
he knows you're just making comics, so he's like, "Hey, do you want to make some money?"
Yeah, that was the funny thing. When I left there, I was like, "So I'm going to like make comics and like just play shows with my band," and they were like, "What?" like really? That's successful? I'm like, somewhat. Like, I just left. But yeah, I found out because I had some buddies that were still working there for years after I left. Like, I left there, I want to say 2012 now. So yeah, it's been almost 9 years at this point. I left there right around the time I started dating Beth, actually. Or a little bit after I started dating Beth, I should say, because that sort of gave me the security, and I was moving in with her at the time, and she was like, fucking just start figuring out the comic shit if that's really what you want to do. She was like wildly supportive of it from the get-go, and it was really cool. But yeah, I left there, and like day after I left, I was getting calls from them that Crusher Kong wanted me to come back, and I found out from friends that for years afterwards he was still mentioning me by name at like all the employee meetings. Anytime they had a new employee, they would mention me.
Turns out you were the only one that knew how to hook the Xbox up to the IMAX.
Yeah, that's really what it was. I'm the one who had the adapter. He was the coolest dude. He knew how to hook the 360 up and everything. Yeah, no, that was cool. That was the same way we figured out we could just put like any movie on without the manager's codes, because you could technically just like put DVDs into these things and play whatever, but you needed like a manager code or a manager key to like pull the file over. And technically, I don't think we had DVD drives in the IMAX room. I think it was just a flash drive or film. So if you were going to bring anything, you needed a flash drive, but then you needed the manager's code for that. Is a big like pain in the ass. But it made no sense because it was like there wasn't really any way to fuck anything up if you were just playing something off of a flash drive. But eventually one of our managers, this dude John, I'll call him John C to not dox him. He's only a couple years older than us. and he used to come party at our apartment and shit. Now that neither of us work there anymore, it doesn't matter, but it would have gotten him fired back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was like a legit manager, not even like an assistant manager or anything, but like a couple of the managers used to come to our parties. One of them, this dude, I don't even know what to call him. Mark, I guess, is the easiest way to describe him. He worked
I didn't
at
know meant by name. I thought you meant by gender or something. You're like, I don't
yeah,
know
oh
what
no,
this
it's just
call this guy.
I was like trying to think for a second because we always called him by his last name, but I'm like, again, I don't want to dox these people or anything. I was like, what the fuck is his first name? Like, I don't think I ever called him by his first name. Pretty sure it's Mark though. Either way, this dude worked at one of the Alamo Draft houses out west before he worked for us, and then he moved out east to be with his wife. They moved like closer to her family after they got married. But he had all these awesome stories about Alamo Draft House. And oh god, I can't remember exactly which Tarantino movie it was, but one of the Tarantino movies that had come out, I think it was in like the mid 2000s. Was it Inglourious Bastard? No, I think it was the Grindhouse.
Death
Yeah,
match.
I'm pretty sure it was the Grindhouse premiere because it was the same story where he was ripping tickets at the beginning of the night when Rodriguez and Tarantino showed up, and he was making fun of Rodriguez's Shark Boy and Lava Girl to one of the other managers while ripping tickets, and he was ripping fucking Robert Rodriguez's ticket while doing it, and he said something to the effect of like, way to make a stupid fucking movie that was pretty much just for your stupid fucking kids. And he was ripping Robert Rodriguez's ticket, and Robert Rodriguez was just like, yeah, it was for my stupid fucking kids. And just like walked away. And then later on that night, he was tasked with bringing Tarantino back to his hotel room after the premiere.
He's like, what the fuck's up with Pulp Fiction? Man!
Yeah, his Tarantino's driver or something didn't show up, so he brought him back to the hotel room, and evidently Tarantino, while trashed, asked him to get him some ecstasy and hookers. And he said Tarantino had sort of framed it and phrased it as if he was going to be able to partake in the hookers and ecstasy with him. And this was like before he had met his wife and everything too. So he's like all excited, like a dude in his mid-20s at the time. And he's like, I think I'm about to fucking party with Quentin Tarantino and some hookers and get like really fucked up that night. He's like, I call around for an hour. I'm basically down in the lobby of the hotel trying to get a hold of a bunch of friends, old drug connects and stuff. He's like, I finally get a hold of one of my buddies, and he actually has ecstasy. So he's like, buddy meets me at the hotel. I buy all the ecstasy he has. It's like 12 rolls of ecstasy or some shit. And he finds a hooker on something like Backpage or something like that. And gets a hooker to show up with one of her other friends and the ecstasy, and he goes upstairs, knocks on Quentin's door, and Quentin's just like, oh, hey, ladies, and like lets them in. Is like, what's going on, Mark? And he's like, you get that stuff I asked you for? And Mark's like, yeah, man. And he said he held out his hand with the ecstasy in it. And he's like, no money or anything. Tarantino just reached out, grabbed it, and slammed the door in his face. And he heard the lock click on the other side, and nothing.
Oh, so lame.
Yeah.
It's one thing not to get invited, but the no couple $100 slapped in your hand after the drug exchange.
Yeah, just grabbed it and bolted. And he said he got a email from him like a month later that was just thanking him for helping him out. It's like, that is the lamest Tarantino story ever. Like, you got drug cucked by Tarantino.
Yeah, totally. Oh man.
There's another one. I can't think of it now, but the Rodriguez and the Tarantino ones are easy to remember because they were at the same time. But yeah, he was like he was a really good manager, but he was known for being really fucking dumb like that. He was terrible at suggesting movies to people. We got complaints about him constantly. It wasn't like that shit where like I read something the other day where some theater employee got fired because convinced an elderly black lady to go see a horror movie instead of some fucking gospel movie she was going to see.
Well, that's just funny.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious, but it's like you're an idiot if you don't think you're getting fired for that when you basically give this elderly woman a fucking heart attack. It's like how you were saying your buddy brought you to John Wick and told you it was a historical movie. Like, that works great when you're a fucking dude and you like action movies, but when you're an old lady, you're not ready to shit your pants and explode your heart.
No, it's horrible. It's funny because you know me. I'm the person that, like, someone falls over and smashes their face on the ground. I'm laughing my ass off, but I'm also walking over to help them up.
Yeah. I don't know about a lot of wrestlers working at theaters. I was like really surprised when we found out because like my manager is not like a healthy dude. If you're familiar with the Kong Bros, they were like fucking very large men. And I believe he was Crusher Kong of the two. I'd have to look up like their actual names. His name's Scott. I mean, it's out in the world. Scott Thompson. He was one of the Crusher brothers, and then the regional and general manager of Rave Cinemas for a while. I don't know if he's still working for them now that they were bought out by Cinemark, but he was honestly a great boss. I had nothing but respect for the dude. Didn't give a shit about his wrestling career. And he didn't really try to like bring like he wasn't like, you know what wrestling taught me, like one of those fucking dudes.
That would have been so funny.
Yeah, like I would have lost it. I probably would have gotten into stand-up comedy if that were the case, because that dude would have just been the fountain of content. But no, it's like really cool. We had other really dumb managers like that. Like we had a guy who's we found out after the fact was like on the spectrum when his parents came in after he got fired to talk to the manager about why he got fired. And
oh no.
He had been working there for like a month and they just like hired him on the spot because he was hanging out at the bar. And I was like a manager in training at the time there. And I was like, okay, so whose idea was it to hire the guy on the spot who was hanging out drinking in our bar? And it was one of the lady managers who was like all fucking horny for the dude. He looked like Jake Gyllenhaal had been hit on the back of the head with a shovel and had just like woken up with no memory of who he was and was now like incredibly dumb. But he could like have a conversation, but he'd talk about the strangest shit. And he'd constantly say like he saw it in a video or something somewhere, but he would constantly like when people were talking about movies, he'd go, "Oh yeah, that's a great movie. It's really deep, a lot of depth." And he would say that about everything. And we were like, fuck, dude, like we need to get away from this guy. Every movie has depth and he doesn't even know what it means. He's just saying it all the time. And they hired him. He worked there for like 2 months and we were like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? Like, how is this guy our boss all of a sudden? And he got on like a super power trip with me and this other employee and fucking went off on us one day. And I genuinely had to be like, I'm going to knock this dude out if he takes another step closer to me. Cause he was like getting really weird and close to me. Like this was before we all knew he was autistic and he was like getting really weird. And I was like, dude, I'm going to fucking pop this guy just for my own safety. Like somebody get him the fuck away from me. And, my other manager, John C., actually pulled him away, and that's why he got fired. They were like, legit, like, something is up with this dude. He's fucking with our number one employee. And he was on like a superpower trip. And yeah, his parents came in after they fired him, and we found out like he's like a 30-year-old dude. And this was the first time they had let him go out and try and get a job on his own. And it was insanity. He ended up,
which is admirable, but if nobody knows, like if nobody knows, like it's not admirable to do it to you guys.
Dude,
like it's an admirable thought.
No one
to
knew,
son,
and is like I've worked with people on the spectrum, so I had like an idea of what was going on, but I had never worked with like a kid on the spectrum like this. And he was like so standoffish. Like if you told me he was like an only child and his parents raised him sheltered away from other people, I would believe it, because it felt like it was his first time being around like other people, and they were like, okay, yeah, we're gonna throw him into a power position. It was like this guy probably barely could have handled being like a ground level usher, and it was fucking bonkers. He basically got hired on the spot right before they brought Thompson in to run the place. And Thompson came in, and he was the one who like essentially fired him. He was like, what the fuck? Like, there were these 3 lady managers running the place at the time, and one of them was like really young and estranged from her husband and was super horny for that dude, not knowing that he was autistic. And we're not talking like I have a couple friends who are autistic and like are completely functioning human beings and everything. Like this dude seemed completely normal, but there was some wiring malfunctions that were fucking bonkers. And I don't know if it was just how he was raised or what, dude, but he gave me like serial killer vibes. And he kept coming to the theater to see movies after they fired him.
It was like that's not good.
Yeah, it's like really uncomfortable for a while. We found out he banged like 3 of the female employees that were just like ground level employees. And
okay, so he's got some game then.
Oh, like we were dying laughing about it. It was like the 3 dumbest women at the theater who were completely unaware that there was something wrong with him. It's like, even before, I mean, not that
he looked like
something
Jake
wrong with you if you're autistic, but
no,
he was like a very handsome dude. He was Jake Gyllenhaal with glasses, just not like built. Think of like Gyllenhaal in like Donnie Darko days, like very tiny stature, like Peter Parker build dude, just very wiry, tiny frame. He did not look like, I think he was 29 when they hired him, and he looked like he was maybe 18.
See, I think Jake Gyllenhaal looks kind of retarded, so I didn't.
I didn't think
you were saying he's good looking. I thought you were saying he was a retard that
he had like a thin trimmed beard. Well, chicks think like he's like a really handsome dude, and yeah, I think he looks goobery and like really out of it all the time.
But now I'm on board. He's the handsome guy
was like
that's not all there.
Yeah, he's like handsome in the weird quirky way, and that's how it seemed to translate to all the women at work too. But then there was like half the girl, all the women with a brain at that job were like, this dude's fucking creepy. Like there were girls that like were openly unwilling to work shifts where he was the manager and stuff like that. Like and this dude was only there for like a month and a half. It was I actually can't even say it's the weirdest experience I ever had with a manager at a job, because when I worked at Staples, we had a manager that fucked a bunch of girls there and gave them all herpes.
Jeez.
Yeah, dude, how that didn't blow up into like a somewhat like national headline was insane. He was fucking underage girls,
no, baby, those are just freckles. You can touch them.
Yeah, he was married. With dude, multiple children. Oh yeah, dude. He came in crying one night, and I was like, this dude's about to pull a gun and paste all of us. Like he came in, and I just got this horrible gut feeling. I'm standing in copy center. I was like, we're all about to get dusted. Like, it's just like, we're fucked. Comes in, bawling his eyes out, red in the face, screaming at all these girls. It was bad. Cops had to haul him out. fucking wild. I was like, oh yeah, this guy's about to shoot some of us or shoot himself in the middle of Staples. None of that happened, but I was like, you know, when something weird happens, you're just like, nothing good is about to come from this. That's how it felt.
Yeah, we had a manager. This is the 2-sentence story here. We had a manager once at the Italian restaurant I was working at when I was like 19. They hired this guy, and I hadn't experienced shady people at jobs yet, you know, being 19, especially like shady 30 and 40-year-olds. So they hired this guy as our manager, and like I got a weird vibe from him at first. He was like fake nice and too nice, but he was only that. He was always nice. He didn't have a dark side that snapped or anything. But then he started asking questions that reminded me of things my younger sister would ask. Like my younger sister would always like call my parents and work and like give away that she was doing something wrong with the like, hey, what time are you coming home today? Kind of questions. Or you're like, my parents are like 5, and then they're like, I'm leaving early.
How much do you love the dog?
Yeah, stuff like that. So he would ask me things like that because I was the young kid at the place. So the new boss would be like, hey, so the district manager, when he's here on Sundays, does he hang out in the back all day or is he hanging out up front? And I just remember like they were just really weird questions. And then 2 weeks later, everyone's like, hey, did anyone pick up anything weird from that guy? Because he robbed us blind. Like over the last 2 days he was here, he didn't make the bank deposits, and then he just disappeared with the last cash drop. And I was like, oh, that's why he was asking me those questions. Like, I didn't get it until after.
Oh, he wasn't an idiot. I'm the idiot.
Like, this guy asks the dumbest, weird questions. And meanwhile, he's like, this stupid teenager is giving me all the information I need.
You're at the meeting like, nope, never talk to him. We had another real dark one at the movie theater that reminded me of it because this kid he's working every shift, and I remember when he got caught, it was the most fucking insane shit, but he had been watching like magic and sleight of hand videos on YouTube and learning how to do this, and he was like sleight of handing 20s out of the cash registers while he would work. And he would literally, dude, like walk by other people's registers while they had them open, while they're working with a customer, and just like scoop a 20 on camera with an overhead camera looking down into it, and you wouldn't even see it half the time. He found out because he's like a tech nerd and just a fucking weirdo. When you would get called into the back offices to talk to the managers, they have like the security cameras there, and you can see the overheads and everything. The overhead cameras were older, ran at a shittier frame rate. So if you're really fucking quick, you could just snag stuff and it would just look like you were basically walking by. It was the dumbest shit ever, but he learned that, and then it was just basically distracting the person at their register long enough to pull something out of it. It's fucking insane. He did it for like 4.5 months, pulling a couple 20s a night. Bragged to one of our fellow employees, and they ratted him out after he had gotten thousands of dollars out of it. And the management could not figure out who was doing it. And he is part of an unsolved murder now. Where he was the victim. So after he got fired, he evidently got into worse shit. And I worked at a really nice movie theater in like a really nice town. Like, it made no sense.
Dude, that stuff doesn't matter. Like, I grew up dirt poor in the richest county. In one of the richest counties in America, in Orange County. And one thing I can tell you growing up there is, man, money doesn't matter for all that shit. Like lying, drugs, family issues, like people like, and I'm not saying, oh, you should be sympathetic to rich people or anything like that, but to think, people don't have problems, you know, be like, nope, drugs, stealing, all that shit that stuff doesn't matter what class you're in society. That shit runs rampant, and it's a vice. They're human vices. They affect humans no matter what. You know, we want those things.
Universal. Doesn't matter your class, your creed, your skin color, nothing.
So I'm not saying you shouldn't be surprised, because I'm still the same way sometimes, where I'm like, hey, we live in this place, or I grew up here, I can't believe that. And then I'm like, oh yeah, people are monsters and animals.
Oh yeah,
And
no,
so
that
am
was a
I.
crazy one too, because that was a kid that I trained, and if like if you told me that, like hearing that when it happened was surreal, because it was like training the kid. He was like goofy ass, like he would smoke weed with us, and we would like laugh, like he looked like so fucking squirrely. And it was like, it wasn't like he smoked weed with us for the first time, like he would show up with his own stuff and everything, but he was such a timid, like nerdy kid, wasn't good with chicks or anything. So it's like, how the fuck did you get into such crazy shit, dude? Like it made no sense. Some of the richest kids at my school were the ones getting into the most problems, also from OC. Oh yeah. Those rich kids too love pills and shit. That was the big problem at like my high schools. My high school was all the rich kids were getting into fucking pills and synthetic drugs and all sorts of crazy shit. It was like, us poor kids are fucking smoking pot and like skating. You kids
Dude,
with money are wild.
My group of poor friends. Oh, hey, what's up, Cryptic? I didn't see that comment you just read. Yeah, Cryptic knows. He and I were just a couple miles apart. So, yeah, all the poor, like my poor skater loser, like ska punk dork crew, like we couldn't even afford pot. So like we weren't even smoking pot. We were just like, so to us, our whole escape was like, let's go. Like, I don't know. We used to like break into buildings and facilities and like try to get on the roofs of big buildings. That was like our thing. And like it was just a weird thing too, that when you got caught with that as a teenager, they just like took you to the front gate and shoved you home. They're like, go away.
Yeah, get
and
the
like
fuck out of
so
here.
like yeah, so we were always out causing trouble, but never really getting into that much trouble, like never getting like sent to jail or anything like that. Like
we did the same kind of shit, and it was always the cops would be like, you know, like, this is the same amount of kids you came in with, like none of you are dead in here, like
exactly, yeah.
And then it was like, all right, now like you survived, get the fuck out, like you saw it. Like we even had one cop in town who was our dare officer, and like every time he'd catch us doing some hoodlum shit like that, he's like, what were you guys trying to do? Be like, oh, we wanted to get up on the roof and take a fucking picture up there, and be like, all right, come on, and you like fucking bring us up there. Just be like, all right, do it really quick, and then get the fuck out of here.
Cops love prankster kids for some reason. Anytime
like, if you're not a dickhead to them, they're like, yep, I get it.
No, I don't know. My best advice for anyone, any race, color, class level, no matter what you are, is just be a cool dude when the cops come up. No matter what you're doing, just be like, and if you got caught, just be like, what's up? You got me. Yep, shoot. You know, like just because I've had guns drawn on me, I've had guns pointed at me, I've had all kinds of interactions.
Yeah, they aren't there to put you in prison. That's the judge's job.
Yeah, most of them don't want to do the paperwork either. So like, if you're not making their day worse, here's the thing. A cop even told me this. A friend cop a couple of years ago. He said, "Oh no, man! If someone makes my day worse, it's worse for them. If they make my day entertaining, I'm cool with them." I was like, that makes so much sense.
It's like, you're passing the time. I already pulled you over either way. Like, fucking, this can go pleasant. We can get through it, or this can go to the ground and get really fucking messy. Like, you never know what the fuck you're walking into, too, as a police officer. So it fucking sucks. I have friends in law enforcement and law enforcement adjacent. That's a hard fucking job.
Oh yeah. No, I have an uncle, and then I have a quick story about breaking into a place. But I have an uncle who, speaking of tough cops, he was a detective. He's passed now, but he was a detective in the Rampart Division in LA in like the 50s and 60s. And I've almost been scared to like look him up, because I'm like, he most likely was super corrupt just because of how the police force was back then, where he's an amazing guy, amazing uncle. Like, I love Eddie to death, you know, but like, I was like, I don't ever want to look up stories or his name, because I feel like it had to be like, oh, he beat up a bunch of poor people or something. He did something.
My papa's not that bad, but when we started finding out more about his like extensive military history and like how he was working with OSS for a couple of years, like early on when he was with my Nana. And then you go and like look at what the OSS was and what they did, and they were like the precursor to the CIA, and we're doing like even spookier, more evil, menacing shit. Like they're the guys like figuring out you could just like poison a guy painfully and lethally with nicotine and shit like that, and shooting dudes with umbrella guns and briefcase guns and just like all sorts of wacky shit. And I'm like, oh my god, my grandfather was one of those wacky motherfuckers just assassinating people everywhere. And they were like, there's all sorts of cases and accounts where they said like they were just sort of killing random people to field test stuff.
I mean, you got to test. I mean, look at it from their point of view. You've got a product, you've got a system. You got to figure something out, right?
Oh yeah, like an umbrella gun. It's not gonna matter if you walk out in the street and your umbrella gun fires like a fucking shotgun blast. And a huge smoke puff. But yeah, I'm like, they would fucking field test them on just regular ass people. Like you're in a coffee shop drinking coffee and then you just bleed from the eyes, ears, and nose because you drank a bunch of nicotine. Like, that sucks, man. Like, basically, like what led to like MK Ultra and all of that shit. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, my uncle. So this isn't tied to like MK or anything, but like just with the crazy stories. Not my uncle. My uncle's in the story. Sorry, but my grandpa, my mom's stepdad. He used to tell me these stories when I was really young, and they were looking back. I'm like, that's really messed up stuff to tell a kid. And then when I talked to my uncle about it later on, he said that my grandpa had a bunch of stories like this, but never told anyone. So he must have been sort of using me as the like, I got to get these stories off my chest. So nobody knows what my grandpa did for like 20 years before he was with my grandma. And he had all these weird stories. He's got weird gun collections. He's got like weird like credentials and stuff like that. And his passport was all crazy and full of places from all over the world. So some of the stories he used to tell me were how he worked at a hotel once and he had to kill a man at the front desk. And the story he told me was they had a gun for security at the desk and he was working in the lobby and a guy came in to rob it and he started climbing over the desk, and in the mirror behind the guy, my grandpa could see he had a gun in his belt. And when the guy reached for the gun, my grandpa said he just put his gun up to the guy's head and pulled the trigger. And that was
Cowabunga.
that. Yeah. And so my uncle was like, oh, okay. So my uncle's pretty sure he was some sort of like either undercover cop or worked in the military in some aspect.
Yeah.
And so my uncle was like, okay, well that ties into like on his deathbed, he was talking about like all these weird things. And I guess they were basically all the things that he had told me stories of. So he talked about working in a hotel and no one remembered that. Everyone was like, he never worked in a hotel. He talked about killing people freely. And my grandma was like, this is crazy. I don't know if these are from movies or anything, but everything he was saying was all stuff. He told me these stories like a bunch of times. And then he had some story about being in South America with a briefcase chained to him once and being in a shootout and this whole thing and showing me the scars from things. And like, and
I wouldn't be surprised
like,
if he was also OSS because that sounds like it.
Yeah, and then my grandpa was like, well, he said he'd fought in Korea, or my uncle said he fought in Korea, and that's what those bullet wounds were from. And even now I know enough medically, and I've studied and drawn enough that they were bullet wounds.
Yeah,
or some kind of
that
crazy puncture wounds, if not bullets. They were something.
Consulting and fighting in Korea, consulting in Vietnam. There was rumors of SEALs on the ground, unmarked in Vietnam. Because there's believed to be like a battalion of Russian soldiers, like Spetsnaz, essentially fucking training the Viet Cong early on in Vietnam. There's a lot of weird stuff, and some of it's been chalked up to like conspiracy theory. And I mean, there was like Russian equipment and stuff found all over the place during that war, so it's not outside the stretch of imagination. I haven't looked like more in depth into it in recent years, but there could be more proof of it now. But it's crazy shit. And my papa kind of the same thing. Fucking dude had a passport that had a lot of weird entries right before Nana had met him, and a couple after they like had moved in together. She said these guys would show up, pick Papa up, and Papa would just be gone for like a couple weeks or a month at a time and come back, and she never really knew what he did for work. And like when I was a kid, I didn't really know what Papa did for work. He was just like retired and would drive around and hang out and just always had money and everything was always taken care of.
Well, then
really
they had
fucking
like
weird.
like a final chapter to it that I think is part of it. Was so my grandpa and my grandma they're in their late 70s at the time. This is, like 20 some years ago. And they were robbed by two guys at gunpoint that tied them up in their house. And the public story is, and this, the item I'm talking about is true. My grandparents had a refrigerator that looked like a safe, like it had the dial on it and everything, but it was just a joke thing. And they kept it in the downstairs by the garage, as like kept sodas and turkeys and whatever in it. So the official story is, these guys thought that refrigerator was an actual safe and had broken in to do that. My uncle tells me that in the process of what they were doing with the house at the time, the passageway was blocked. So the guys would have at least moved the boxes out of the way and gone over to the fridge safe to look inside to realize it was a fridge. And not a safe, which is my grandpa says he told them that, and he said they looked and realized it wasn't, and then they took some other stuff and left. Meanwhile, my uncle says that all the files, all sorts of paperwork, all sorts of like boxes and everything, things that were not of monetary value to anyone had been ransacked and were messed up around the house and everything. And so my uncle's like, I don't understand this. I don't know what this was. These guys didn't actually rob them of all their expensive stuff, and they had them at gunpoint. And my uncle had to go over and find them tied up because the neighbors heard them yelling later that night.
Jesus,
because they were still tied up. So like, there's all that. So I'm like, what is your story, Grandpa? What really happened?
What the fuck were you into?
Yeah.
We had a buddy in high school whose dad we just called Mafia Merle because he seemed like he was in the mafia. He would come get picked up by a black car and just be gone for weeks at a time. And our buddy's bills were always paid. They had a really nice place. And his dad, just every time we'd be like, what do you do for work? He'd be like, don't fucking worry about it.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, he was really cool though. And then Beth's grandfather on the German side was a double agent during World War II.
That's awesome.
He absolutely despised the Nazis. But when they showed up to town, it was basically in his area. It was like, join us or we execute you. And so he joined up and was a double agent from day one, working by day and then smuggling out Jews at night. And eventually escaped during the war and became a turncoat and fucking helped the US and got over here, became a citizen. Super fucking crazy story. I never got to meet him, but
did he have trouble walking with those balls? Because geez.
Yeah, right. Can you imagine that? I'm like, it's got to be hard being a cop every day, like going to work when people want to kill you. It's like, how about hating Nazis and having to enlist as a Nazi and be one?
I mean, if you're gonna be one, be the double agent, you know.
Like I told her forever ago, I was like, it sounds like the fucking perfect story for like a fucking comic book. Like I wish I knew more about the dude. like between his and my grandfather's service, both of my grandfathers, because my other one on my mom's side of the family fucking served in like Korea and Vietnam, like a fucking madman. He just seemed to be one of those old salty dudes that loved war. God rest his soul, but he was a fucking badass, Grandpa Ken.
Yeah, see, that's what's crazy when people are telling me, like, or people tell me, nobody talks to me, but people say stuff on the internet and in the world like, oh, this is the worst year ever, these dark times, this or that, and things are so horrible. I'm like, man, it's weird because my grandpa's generation, all of them fought in war and lost friends in war and have scars from war. Not just battles, but war.
I haven't seen any of you guys get exploded, so I think we're doing all right.
Yeah, most of my friends are whining about Twitch raised the price for subscription.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You know, like, yes, I do have friends that have fought in war and battle.
Most of my friends are on like their second or third kid, and I'm like, you guys are having kids. It can't be that bad. Like, why are you complaining?
Yeah. So yeah, that stuff's always funny to me, where we just talk about 2 generations before us. Like, even just, I went to Japan. When I went to Japan, getting drunk with dudes in Japan, like my punk friends, and them realizing that our grandfathers were fighting against each other in war. Like, my grandpa was on a ship getting kamikaze twice over in the Pacific by the Japanese. And
yeah, I mean, we literally fucking nuked them, like, in this lifetime. Like,
exactly, with people that are still alive from those that era and stuff. And so that was
wonky
crazy
as
too.
fuck. And that country doesn't like stab us when we touch their soil every time. It's insane.
No, these guys thought it was like magic. Like,
that's my whole thing. I'm like, how can we not fucking figure out peace in the Middle East, but Japan is cool with us?
How can we not have peace in comics? But Japan and America are cool.
Yeah.
Like, look at Japan, Germany, and America. Like, we're all cool now. Like,
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
And all 3 places are awesome places to live.
Yeah.
I know Germany's got a little bit of like a lot of the immigration problems they say we have here are really going on in Germany.
Yeah, Germany
but for the most part,
wacky right now. But
yeah, but for the most part, it's a first world country with great like it's advanced. If you're living there and you're middle class or so, you're doing fine. You're doing okay. But us, Japan, and the 3 big dogs from World War II are all like, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, what's up? How you doing? Pretty good.
Japan is like the coolest place on earth, I think. If I wouldn't be completely lost there forever and it wouldn't make Beth lose her goddamn mind, I would love to just go move out there and disappear someday. My gramps was in World War II, stormed Normandy, and was shot in the neck and somehow lived through that crazy grinder. What a fucking wild man. What's that day like when you get shot in the neck storming Normandy and you're just like, well, I'm just gonna rest here for now? Like,
do you know how like you'd hate like that's the thing I don't get. My grandpa was cool with the Japanese after being kamikaze twice, and he had best friends that were Japanese, and this or that. Were like, just that story. I'm like, as I'm sitting there being shot in the neck, I'm not only going to be mad at Germany, I'm going to be mad at Europe and every European, and
world.
Like, I'm like, you fucking sons. Like, basically anyone that's not my girlfriend or wife, and be like, I'm going to kill you all now.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason we kicked so much ass in World. I mean, not the only reason, but I think that's a big reason we kicked so much ass in World War II. Was like, our dudes went over there like young and just like angry at the world for no reason. Like, if you go back and look at it, like, we didn't even know that much about the Nazis and Hitler at that point. We knew like it wasn't gonna be good, but like the average soldier going in there didn't know dick about what they were really fighting for, other than like to stop these guys. And they got to experience it firsthand. I think Band of Brothers really shows that a lot better. Like, they briefed guys and stuff, but it's like Band of Brothers shows it really well, where they like get to see like what these fucking horrible assholes were actually doing. and that's sort of where the fight comes from. But those guys just like went over angry as fuck just because that's how we motivated them. I feel like a lot of what are now, you know, our grandparents and everything and great grandparents didn't really know what the fuck they were walking into, and that's insane. Like to think like Metatron's Cube's grandpa like fucking shot in the neck on the beach in Normandy is laying fucking face up looking at the sky and then managed to get out of there alive is fucking insane. I have a buddy whose grandpa like I think was also in Normandy and I think lost a leg from an MG round. Like you see it and you would think like oh, he must have like stepped on a mine or something crazy, and is like, oh no, he fucking got shot in the leg by a fucking machine gun.
Yeah, it's scary to think of something that can rip through quarter inch steel, what it can do to your body. What it can do to the human form.
When you turn a bullet into basically a chainsaw at long range. Told me about it when I was young, but I didn't really get it. Yeah, I know my grandpa Ken had a couple of Purple Hearts, but he never really told us the story about it. I think it was more from shrapnel, from what my mom explained to us back in the day. He would talk about like where he went, but he would never get into the details of combat and stuff like that. He would get that like really intense fucking zone out stare and just like smoke his pipe and stop talking.
See, that's what was cool about my dad's dad. My mom's stepdad had the crazy, who knows what he really did, maybe CIA, Pinkerton dude, whatever. But my dad's dad was the World War II guy that he lied about his age to join the military because he wanted to fight. He was that mad. He wanted to fight. And so he gets sent over there. He's like 17 by the time they get kamikaze the first time. And the second one was a few days later on the ship that rescued him. He stayed there for a while. His dad had been fighting in the Pacific too at the same time, both of them. But like my grandpa is where I get my storytelling from. So he was the kind of guy, like, he loved telling the war stories. Like, and he became a fireman after because he kind of needed the rush still. And he thought like being a fireman would be exciting. So like fireman stories, his war stories, it's like they're so detailed, and he like he loved telling them. So like it's weird having the grandpa that like doesn't tell you anything and it's all mysterious, and then you have the other one who's like, so here's about the time I got blown up by another plane that was trying to hit me. You're like, whoa, so cool.
Grandpa Ken would tell you like stuff like that and like flyovers and shit like he did. But anything like really heavy, and I don't think he realized, like the older I got, the more I realized like, oh, when he stops talking about it, it means that guy died or something happened horrible, and you could pretty much fill in the blanks, but he would never really talk about it. My other papa, though we didn't know exactly what he did, he had all of these stories where he talked about it. And then like after he passed away and I got older and I started to find out stuff from Nana and got to go through all of his things, I got to find out like, oh, like some of the shit he was actually talking about himself. Like he would just tell these crazy stories about his old buddies and stuff and like people we had met when we were kids. And he'd be like, you remember Buzz? And be like, yeah, I'm going to tell you a story Buzz told me one time. It was like, oh, it just happened to be that my grandpa Joe was sitting right fucking next to Buzz, also shooting fucking Japanese guys or something crazy. Like, it's just insane shit. Like, the Cape House that my family owns, that was his and my Nana's, has a bunch of fucking folders of his stuff. It's got like all of my Nana's paintings and stuff in the attic and a bunch of his military shit. And it's, all wacky as fuck. The story of my Nana meeting him was fucking hilarious. He like came into like her travel agency and like punched a hole in the wall. She was like, yeah, that's the man I'm gonna marry. It's like, yeah, coming in and causing property damage in a
I
place he
knew
had
from the
never
first
been
time he
in
lost.
before.
I knew from the first time he lost his temper. That was the man for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna make 6 kids with that guy. Like,
Punch a hole through me, sir. Sorry, no offense to your grandma.
Nana would think that was hilarious if she wasn't out
Okay,
of her
good.
mind.
All respect, Nana. All respect.
Now she thinks she's like 26 years old and living it up, even with COVID. She's
When my grandma got. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
she's just wild. She's the best though. Still clinging to it. We got good
How
news
old?
this week for her. Actually, she's 87 now, or
Whew.
about to be 87,
Nice.
I believe. Sorry, but yeah. Got that news that she had COVID like a week and a half ago and was just like waiting around because they made it sound like she was on death watch. And then the other day we got a call and they're like, she's just like up and around. She's eating again. She's fucking talking to people. Called my dad, which is like she has like a bunch of numbers written down and everything, but she like barely fucking knows who anybody is. So like when she calls my dad, she thinks my dad is like one of her brothers or like one of the grandkids sometime, or doesn't remember who they are at all. Like you're not family. You never know with fucking Alzheimer's. But she called him and like had a good conversation. Has been like eating, is moving around and shit. So just like all these other Desmonds were fucking hard to kill.
Well, yeah, there was that Korean movie last year. I forget now. I forget what it's called now. It wasn't Parasite, but it was something about not telling the grandma that she was dying. She had cancer.
I think I know what you're talking about. Did they do an American remake like immediately after?
They might have. I saw the original with subtitles or whatever. It's an amazing movie, but it takes you into that, like, I don't know. I like movies that make you think about things differently than you normally would. So, like in the Western world, we totally just like, oh, you have cancer. You're 95. We're telling you you have cancer or COVID, or we're telling you you have this thing, and then that's just how it is. But over there,
I was thinking of something called Relic, but you might be talking about The Farewell.
Yes, The Farewell. So it's based on a true story. So basically, when somebody of that age or whatever has something terminal, they talk to the family first and let the family decide what to tell the person, which sort of sounds cruel, you know. But in this instance, they don't tell the grandma who's just lost her husband that she has this terminal cancer and only 6 months to live. Because I guess there's like a wedding coming up and the grandma wants to be part of it. So they were like, let's just let her have the things she wants. Since there's no treatment for this or whatever. So they don't tell her. And then she ends up living for like another 20 some years, or she's still alive or something.
Oh my God.
And so it's that weird thing. You're like, oh, weird. Like, did that just happen to be that way? Or is there something about when you tell someone they have 6 months to live that just sends them down a road of death, you know, or something?
Yeah.
So maybe there's a benefit to having Alzheimer's. When someone says, hey, you've got COVID, and you're like, I already forgot I have it. I'm fine. What's up?
Right.
So like,
why
you
do
never
I feel
let
so
your body
fucking
get
weird?
yeah. So like, you heal quicker, and like people are like, how come Nana's doing great? She should have died. And you're like, because she doesn't believe she doesn't really think she's got anything. She's not letting herself be defeated.
That's the weird thing too, being on the other side of it, is you kind of, at least from my perspective, you never know what you're walking into. For a while, me and Beth were like the last of the family she really remembered like consistently. So we would show up and she would look at me for a second and she'd be a little foggy, but then she'd be like, hi, Spencer. And she always remembered Beth. And I think that was because, you know, Beth was later in her life when her memory was still good. She met Beth and she was always like, when are you guys going to give me some grandkids and or some more grandkids? Because she already had a bunch of grandkids at that point. But now all she remembers is like, oh, like when she would see Beth and she would remember her, she'd be like, you guys need to give me some grandkids. And we'd have to be like, Nana, you got a bunch of grandkids. And then she'd be like, oh, yeah, and I love them all. Not be able to remember anybody's names, but she would remember that she had them then. It's
My
weird,
grandma
though.
would. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
You don't know what you're walking into with it ever. There's like really good days with it where it seems like they don't even have Alzheimer's. And there's really bad days where they don't remember anything and you're just sort of a stranger who's come to visit for the day. That was the hardest one, was the first time I ever saw her, and she didn't know who I was. I walked in and she was just like, hi, handsome. And she genuinely greeted me as if it was the first time I had ever met her, and introduced herself as Constance, and showed me the book she was reading. And we talked about books we both liked for about a half hour, and I left. And that was like one of the hardest things I've ever done. But yeah, you never know what you're walking into, and it's gotten a lot easier. Like I'm grateful I get to still see her and everything, but I've always been a realist, and I know, eventually it's going to be the last time I see her, one of these days. And I was just glad that it wasn't fucking this week because of stupid fucking COVID. Because she's a cool lady. And there's still a lot of crazy stories in there that escape. Like every time I go see her, I learn a little bit more about her by just talking to her, and it's fucking crazy how much she remembers from when she was really young, up until almost like 30 years old. Like she can almost remember giving birth to like all of my dad, my aunts and uncles. And then it's just like up until like meeting Beth, she doesn't remember anything after that. Like,
do you want to know why that works that way? It's kind of interesting.
Sure. I got a little bit more time.
So think about nerves transmitting energy, and your nerves are like branches that come out from your brain and extend all through your body, right?
Yeah. Oh, you cut out. Uh-oh. Oh, no. We'll see if we can get him back in here real quick. He might have fat thumbed it again. You never know. There we are.
Sorry, when I broadcast from the kitchen, I get horrible reception. But
take it easy, Simonon. Thanks for stopping by, dude.
See you, Simonon. So it's a 2-second story. Your memories get stored along the way as it goes out, and as your brain cells die and you get older, those die off, and basically your memory start receding back to the very first ones. So like Carl Reiner, when he started writing all his biographies these last few years, or whatever, autobiographies, he was going through that process, and he was like, I haven't remembered being 10 since I was 20 years old. Now I remember every day of my 10th year when I was 10. And so it's super bizarre. So like, I'm not surprised.
Jack in the Box memory I was talking about earlier, to like bring that back around, is like, I don't remember ever remembering that when I was younger, and there's like little things like that would come back to me. It's weird. Weird how
and you never know if it's weird, like, especially at our age, or any age, I guess. You don't know if it's like a false memory.
Yeah. That's the whole thing, is like, it makes sense. I was out there, I think even younger than that too, because like it was like a thing where like there's a point in time I almost was raised in Orange County. Like that's where my mom's family is from. They just decided last minute that they were going to move out to be closer to my dad's family, and that changed like everything, and I grew up in New England instead. But like early in my life, we were born out here because of timing, and then they moved back out to Orange County for a little while, and then to like I think Glendale, Arizona area, and like lived out there with my grandparents for a couple of years when we were really young. This is like weird diverging paths, but I ended up out here.
Yeah, weird diverging paths that run along my family's paths.
Yeah.
It's like, because like I've got family, you know, they were and are now near Glendale. That's an area that even me and my wife have considered moving to, from Orange County, California.
Evidently,
Yeah, it's funny. You always talk about
Arizona's
this stuff, and it sounds like we're relatives almost.
right. Evidently, Arizona's pretty rough with heroin and meth now, which is why a lot of my family seemingly got out of there. But I feel like that's
See, that's the
fucking
thing.
everywhere.
They should have stayed because of the wave that comes through.
Oh, you're cutting out again.
Oh, I got a call. I'll be right back.
I was gonna say I'm gonna wrap it up anyways.
Hello? All right, I'll be right there.
Mute him. I'm going to wrap it up anyways.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, I had to mute you because it was like still playing your audio for some reason.
Oh, very cool.
I got you though. I had you muted.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, man. I'm gonna probably be doing one a little bit later. I gotta figure out dinner and stuff like that.
Yeah, let me know. I'll probably be trying to do a late night inks tonight because I think it'll be my last chance to do a late night inks before Hammerella closes in the next day
yeah.
or so.
I think we'll
stay
probably
tuned
be
to
going,
both of us.
Yeah, I think I'll probably be doing like 9:30, 10 o'clock here. So it'll be like 6:30, 7 o'clock your time.
That works for me. I wouldn't be going till almost midnight your time. So.
And I think it'll be the triumphant return of Jeff. So it'll be a good night.
Awesome.
Stay tuned. 9:30, 10 o'clock EST tonight, guys. Figure out whatever that is for you guys in your time